The Kel-Tec RFB was added October of 2020, and it was initially received poorly. Most people weren't too keen on how limited the gun was when you tried to mod it, and make it effective while at the same time ergonomically friendly. And to be honest, I had a fairly similar sentiment. I tried a variety of optics and setups to try to make the gun work, and gave up when I couldn't find something I liked. A couple of wipes later, I remember killing a player and seeing he was running an RFB, and his setup was perfect. Low 30mm ring mount, a Burris 14X, suppressor, and a Magpul foregrip. It felt good, looked sleek, and had manageable recoil for a single slot 308. From that day, I made it a point to run that gun as often as possible, and it truly has grown on me over the years. Easily one of my most used weapons, and for good reason. For starters, the weapon was always fairly priced, even more so now, with it being on Skier and not Peacekeeper, only costing a little over 55k rubles. And while the simplicity of how many attachments may put people off because of you can't min-max it like other guns of the same caliber, it's kind of the beauty of it. Simplicity isn't a bad thing. It reminds me of the MDRs and how you can fit just an optic, a muzzle, and a foregrip, and you're good to go. And yet those guns are popular because they feel good to use. And the same can be said for the RFB. You put an optic on it, and that's all you really truly need, because no iron sights make it hard to use otherwise. And that's considering if you want to do the bare minimum. If you have money to spend, getting the cheapest suppressor off the flea will add so much value because people won't be able to heal you from across the map. And that's especially if you're a solo player. Making weapons quieter is so important for anyone that's going into a raid by themselves. Yes, the added recoil reduction is nice, but I always have had this mentality that all weapons that are strictly single shot, ergonomics is more important than the raw recoil stats. Your recoil shouldn't be a cause for concern if you're not spamming the weapon as fast as you can. And if you are, you're probably already dead. So while not having the lowest recoil numbers, if you can make the ergo fairly high, that means more opportunities for you to hold your sights up and line shots up without losing all of your arm stamina. Its aiming will be faster too, which is usually important. I will definitely admit, not being able to put any flashlights on that gun sucks, which is why when I use it, I try to stay outdoors with the weapon regardless of whether I have a scope or even just a red dot. But it's still very serviceable without one. You just need to play around the fact that you don't have a light or a laser to save you from time to time. The bulb-up configuration of the RFB makes it shorter too, meaning if you need to get up close and personal, it won't suffer as much as other longer guns of the same caliber. Granted, if you have a suppressor on it, the gun will still be fairly long, but not nearly as bad as something like an SR-25 or an RSAS, where those guns can really get tangled up on the walls and other surfaces. Overall, the RFB is something everyone should consider viable and consider using when you have some extra cash laying around and want a gun that's consistent, reliable, and doesn't break the bank. Comparing it to other guns in the same category, it makes sense why people would be hesitant to try it, but I assure you, some of my best work in Tarkov has come from the result of this weapon. Give it a try, whether long range or short, the RFB will make anyone you slay with it feel really fucking bad. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and I hope to see you in future ones.
Time to get out. It's good to go.